Congratulations on the film.
Thank you so much.
I enjoyed the first one. Second one, you've done what lots of people will struggle to do, which is to make a sequel that's better.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
I was lucky enough to speak to Damien Leone last week for Terrifier.
Oh, cool.
And your film and that film have a lot of DNA in the sense that both of you as filmmakers love practical effects, which is what I love as well. For you as a filmmaker, particularly in this genre, what's the importance for you of doing things practically as much as possible and then relying on CGI sort of after the fact?
You know, I love practical effects. I grew up on them. I was obsessed with them. It was like one of the reasons I wanted to make horror films. I find that, you know, there's a level of detail and control and just makes it so much more visceral when it's in front of the camera. I think sort of philosophically, I like to put everything as much as I can in front of the camera, as much as possible. And then, you know, VFX and CGI can be wonderful tools that I like to use in a sort of like hybrid collaboration on the other side of it, but always starting as practical as possible. You know, and I love just making a big mess, you know.
Don't we all? I love the fact as well you spoke about with the first movie, you wanted to kind of keep some stuff back in case there were sequels. Do you think that it seems to be a decision, at least for me watching it, that's good in the sense of sometimes when people make the first film, they kind of chuck everything as much as possibly can and then have to fill in the gaps afterwards. But for you, you kind of purposely did that. How did that help you with doing the sequel?
You know, it wasn't necessarily in some sort of, I wasn't thinking about saving anything for a sequel. It's more for me, like, I like to really wrap my head around, you know, what's going on in the film and then start pulling things back to sort of create this mystery and enigma about it. I find that, you know, the unknown is so much more scary, you know, than sort of when you put a fine point on it. And, you know, what was fun was sort of doling out a few more answers, but I think for like every sort of door that we close, two more open and raise bigger questions. I really love that, and I love how it sort of becomes this kind of slippery thing that we can't totally wrap our arms around.
Yeah. I just spoke to Naomi. I was asking her about what kind of the biggest challenges in the scenes that stood out. She mentioned a couple, but then when I mentioned the Voss water chugging scene, she said, "Oh my God, mate, that's like the worst thing." What did that come from a specific place, or was that just an idea that you had that would be kind of one of her ways of dealing with what she's trying to deal with?
Yeah, you know, I was really interested in something that felt apropos to some of the themes and motifs we were exploring and why she's constantly drinking water, but I also knew that we could, it was something that could become quite stressful to watch. And what I love is this idea too that fit in with like a pop star who may have a rider with like fancy waters and all that kind of stuff. It just all sort of dovetailed together, and I really love how it works in the film.
Not to spoil anything, but potentially there could be some more out of this. If there's like a dream casting that you could get for somebody to be kind of the lead person for a third movie, is there someone that you could pluck out that if you could, you know, win the lottery and that was the lottery win of having that person in Smile Free, who would it be?
You know, that's an interesting question. I guess I haven't thought that far ahead. I'm very, very excited about releasing Smile 2, and we'll have to see how audiences embrace it. And you know, I think the future could hold a lot of different interesting roads for it.
Yeah. It's a great film. I loved it so much, so I look forward to seeing it again. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
pleasure
you.
talking to you. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys!